late, a day late and a buck shy. Here we are. Unbelievable. The hassles I had trying to get my sound working. Blake, thank God Blake's here to help me out with all this. So he was able to talk and I got him here. I'm on a Linux system and I'm on a Nubara DIS. This is all the cool language for the system. And so I'm on Nubara
Yeah.
and I'm on a what's a KDE kind of a flavor of Nobara, and Nobara itself is based on Fedora, and the whole thing is designed for streamers. So ironically, live streamer content creators and gamers, and of course I'm playing a lot of video games. Linux is so nice, Blake. It's so fast, like my graphics program. I use GIMP, an open source thing, because Photoshop and its infinite wisdom shifted the way they do things and they became proprietary. You can't own Photoshop. You'll own nothing and be miserable. So you have to rent it. You have to pay monthly figure. In the old days, you go, here's my graphics program. I own it. I go to the program. I want to draw a fish. It draws a fish. Now you can't do that. You got to pay your monthly fee. Oh, here comes more money for drawing my fish to get the rights to draw my fish. The old days, it was fire and forget. It's near criminal. It should be illegal. It should be against the law. You should be able to buy an app and run with it. But anyway, let's focus in and talk about the state of the world. So we're starting in at basically 1 o'clock. We'll wrap up around 2 o'clock, but at least we were able to put the frickin' show together, my dear friend. So a lot's going on. Okay. One of the stories, and I don't have any of my links like I normally do. So we're just going to be very casual. We're just going to smack back and forth because we're pretty much up on everything. This morning, there was an attack on another one of their deep leadership bunkers. And it may be that Israel took out the new leader. They don't, it's fog of war, who knows? But they leveled this leadership bunker thing with bunker busters. So these things go down, I don't know how many feet. But Iran is going to fall. Iran, the leadership, whatever comes as a result of all this, that leadership is done. It's never going to be allowed back. An interesting comment I heard today, Blake, is the leadership cannot leave Tehran. If they do, the city falls. So they can't flee Tehran in order to find safety. They're kind of stuck there. And that aids our efforts. We've sunk their navy and they're punching back. They're getting weaker and weaker in the punchback. So very encouraging news that way. I think they're going to be so depleted that it is going to be a situation where the people can rise up without fear of reproach or reciprocal punishment, and that they'll be able to turn this thing over. So your thoughts on the war and how it's going, and are you happy with it? Are you unhappy with it? What are your feelings here on day whatever we are with this thing?
Well, we're now. It started a week ago tonight, after the markets closed. So we know Friday night the attacks began. I think you described it best, just calling it the fog of war. Nobody really knows until they see what happens, right? You get reports are coming out from all different directions. There's, of course, the anti-Trumpers, and I'm talking on everybody who's on both sides of the fence that are kind of on that side, have been tearing them down for it. And some people I actually support online, and there's obviously a disagreement on where this is headed. And quite frankly, they're trying to say that Trump is now a neocon. He's been taken over by neocons, but I don't think his intent, and this is my opinion, his intent is to stay there. He's made that very clear. He's not going to put troops on the ground. He's not going to do a full-scale invasion. I think his whole point is he wants to weaken them enough so that the people of Iran can take back the reins of
That seems
power
to
from
be
them.
the main argument. Yeah.
Hurt them where they can't kill their own people, right? And essentially, I think that was the message at the very beginning. He's asking for basically the police and the security forces to stand down and let the people of Iran take the reins. It's amazing on the overall story, because there was another post that came up that apparently Beirut, Lebanon, has basically kicked out, and they're not going to support or protect any of the Islamic Iranian regime members to hide out in Lebanon any further, because of course that's just their proxy.
Well,
is
Hezbollah crap kicked out of it, right?
So but Lebanon has stated now officially, you're out. You're not allowed to be here.
Good.
And the doors are closing for them quickly, because it shows that the Middle Eastern world, I think, is ready to not be a flashpoint for everything. And
Question for you. So why did Iran attack Qatar, Saudi Arabia, not Lebanon, but I got Iraq? So it's launching missiles at everybody, and it's just pissing them all off. And now Saudi Arabia goes, well, now we want to fight you. The Kurds are all going, let me at them. Apparently, I had heard the Kurds are actually on the ground. They're starting to amass. They want to go in on the ground and help clean things out. I saw one picture today of one of the rebel leaders, or this horrible government, dressed up as a woman. I didn't know transgender is all allowed in Islam now. I didn't know that was a thing, but I guess so. Cross-dressing radicals. So yeah. So why did Iran attack all these nations? What were they hoping to get out of it? It seems to backfire.
I think it's pretty simple, actually. It's the same when you are trying to invigorate a group of people against another group of people. In this case, Sunni versus Shiite. The Shiite. So the Shiite Muslims in Iran, of course, are at odds with Sunni, and the Sunnis, of course, are very much similar to what the Arab world practices, not the Iranian world. So I think this is what they're trying to do, is now make it, hey, this is an epic civil war between Sunnis and Shia. So
kind of crazy though, because they were going to stay out of it. All they did was go, now we're going to punch you in the nose too. So the Kurds it's like that scene in Airplane. I speak jive. When they're all lined up with the bats and the brass knuckles, and the one by one, they're all lined up ready to, easy, I'll take care of this. They're slapping the girl around or whatever.
Well, I think they're just firing everything out at everybody, a desperate plea to try and get some kind of cohesion locally. This is for local Iranians to rally around the Islamic flag, right? I mean, this has nothing to say, hey, American bases are in those areas, so they are supporting the war against us. So they're going to argue they're trying to hit American targets, but that's the point. But further and broader to that is, we know that, like what happened in Iraq was ruled by Saddam Hussein, who was Sunni and was a minority dictator, from that angle, was able to kind of control both factions. And because of those sectarian differences, I think Iran is really trying to poke that bear to get it to explode across everywhere. And but there's other players in this game that I think we need to consider. The other players in this game is obviously Russia, it's China, more likely China, and the United Kingdom, right? The United Kingdom is now saying they're now going to get involved.
Yeah, boy.
And I think it's simple. It's because they're losing their grip on the globalist game that they've been trying to run on everybody. And I think that's too late to come in, but it's a way that they can come in and then have a say on how things happen, such as a regime change inside Iran.
Yeah.
So I think they want to put their person in there and be part of that process now. And but it's too late. Trump's not going to have anything to do with it. They said, yeah, sure, you can help out, but you're not going to make a decision on what happens in Iran. It's going to be the Iranian people who are going to make a decision.
Yeah. Now I got another question for you. I assume you saw the Promethean Action Report, their analysis of
Lloyd's of London.
Yeah, Lloyd's of London and the Strait, because the Hormuz Strait has been controlled by Iran generally, attacking things. But the U.S. said, and Lloyd's of London said, we're not going to insure international shipping. The result of not insuring international shipping is that you would have a standstill on oil, because there are a lot of millions of gallons of oil run through that port. And with that, with the Gulf entry point, the Hormuz Strait shut down, then everything comes to a standstill. The markets are going to crash. Economic pressure goes on Trump. So Trump steps in, apparently for the first time in 300 years, and says, we, the United States, are going to bankroll anybody, the insurance for any ship that wants to pass through there. And we're going to provide safe passage for you through there with our military. So you're going to have American destroyers or what have you, cruisers, battleships, even helping out and ensuring that international shipping is safe through the Hormuz Strait. Do you want to talk about that aspect of things? I thought that was fascinating analysis.
Yeah. Well, and I think this dates back to, we're talking hundreds of years of international power of the high seas. And Lloyd's of London is an old established insurance company. And shipping insurance has pretty much been dominated by Great Britain for, as I said, hundreds of years.
Yeah.
You've had some significant shipping companies that have controlled the seas on the merchant side, like the Dutch East India Company, and there was a number of others that we can talk about, the Hudson's Bay Company here in Canada. But the fact that they basically controlled trade for the majority of the world on the seas. So that means those companies, the steamships that eventually came out after we moved from sailing ships to steamships to now modern ships, that insurance system still is in place and it's run by the United Kingdom. So as you said correctly, that market had been monopolized by Lloyd's of London, and of course is tied very close to the crown, His Majesty the King, King Charles.
Yeah.
And but Lloyd's of London has been playing along with this globalist game of restricting oil.
Because they had a lot of control, hegemony over this whole issue, and therefore could have great influence on markets, global economy. Now with America stepping in, it's an unbelievable change. America basically took control out of that, right out of the British hands, and they aren't doing anything about it. They don't have a card to play in retaliation for it.
Well, I think this is why they're desperate
weak right now. To me, they're extremely.
They are very weak, and they desperately are showing their hand now as they're trying to enter in, and they're just flip flopping like Carney. Carney did the same thing. He came out of the gate, and he's one of their gang. We have to call him for what he is, Carney. So we've got this sort of alliance of UK, Great Britain power, this old world order that is attempting to retain this geopolitical control that they've had for a long time.
With the complicity of the United States in times past, America agreed to it.
It was a financial benefit to all those in the United States that play ball, right? This was the problem with globalism. Globalists just fund people that are easily bought, right? And this is part of the problem. And so this old world, and is what Carney said, the new world order, and he puts his head down and saying, the new world order is now being run out of the United States, no longer through the Bank of England, no longer through the City of London. That's being demolished, but they're still trying their very best to impact and cause havoc in the world through their psyops, through their intelligence networks to disrupt the new world, right? And the new world order is that we've now got other nations that now have a say. They now have a control of their own destiny. And so Trump stepping in and saying, "Yeah, we'll back the insurance on those ships now. So move along, go ahead."
We
And
are seeing a lot of changes. And one of the changes we're seeing are traditional alliances. Quote, the
yeah,
special relationship of the United States and England is suffering a hit. And same with Canada. And you can might as well just go the British Empire, Australia, Canada. Are we the
the Five
baddies?
Eyes, the
Yeah,
Five Eyes, yeah,
it's going that way. Are we the baddies, right? Like traditionally, we were all shouldering, we're all pals, and everybody's getting along. And now it's because America is starting to flex and basically break the shackles of the old world order, which was what George Bush called the New World Order. Again,
yeah.
Bush was all in. It's unbelievable. And the left are so unaware of exactly what's going on. I had my friend Mazzy on my music show that I do, and he was talking about what's Trump's plan in Iran, and I thought no wars, and so they can't see the difference. They don't understand that this is a liberation operation. This is not regime change for the sake of regime change to get a new puppet in. This is power to the people. This is for the Iranian people. It's your country to take, but we will not allow radical Islam through Iran's auspices to take over the world, basically as a nexus for extremism and terrorism in the
Yeah.
Western world. And the U.S. Congress, again, because the Democrats sustained, but they were able to renew again the proclamation in the U.S. that Iran is the world's #1 sponsor of terrorism, which
Yeah.
is great. It's good to know who your enemy is.
Yeah.
So, not the people of Iran, certainly, and hopefully they can get control of their country. They are not a Muslim nation. That's interesting to know, too.
Yeah.
We're so kind of myopic here in the West, and there's a lot we don't understand about the Middle East and their politics and religions. We just, like you made the mention of the Sunni and Shia divide in Islam itself. So you've got practitioners of Shia Islam, and then you've got Sunni practitioners of Sunni variety. Those are the two main segments of Islam in the
Exactly.
world. I think it had to do with Muhammad's uncle or something, and a group followed after the Muhammad's uncle way back in the day. Okay,
Well,
so
and there is other aspects to this that I think we need to watch. As I was saying, there's
Sure.
psychological warfare going on right now. We're experiencing it front end. We're the front end of it in Canada because we're part of that globalist empire. We're still controlled by that old world
Yeah, it's
order.
horrible.
But what I thought was interesting is that I am not going to rule out that what's happening with Zelensky right now and what he's trying to pull is not being done by the British in Ukraine to
That's a
disrupt.
good story. Well, it's a great story. Tell the kids what Zelensky's
Well,
been.
we can go back to it's with regard to Hungary, right? So there looks like we're
Oh,
waiting.
okay, just
We
had
lost
it.
you there
Was
for a second there.
the
Oh, we're back again.
system had a hiccup.
So a couple things happened. Of course, we know in the last week and a half or so there was the bombing of the refineries and the gas systems that Hungary needed was part of their system to survive off of.
Yeah, and Romania as well, right?
And Romania, exactly. Yeah. And so what ended up happening, of course, is this has started a potential fight with Orban, who's of course an ally to Trump, right? And I think this is part of the problem. And Zelensky's threatening Hungary with taking them out, and the language that's coming out from them is just really off the charts. And then now there was something like $80 million was captured moved by armored vehicles through Hungary. And Hungary stopped them because in the EU, they have a requirement that if you're traveling with $10,000 or more, doesn't matter if you're an EU member state, you can still check with these people and find out what the heck they're doing with that kind of money. Well, this was 80 million moving between gold and cash from the Ukraine through Hungary. Well, Hungary stopped it. They grabbed it. They said, something's not right here. And of course, now the Ukraine is going crazy. They've been threatening.
Can you say they're going ballistic?
They're going ballistic, exactly. Which I think is kind of hilarious that they're trying to get the EU to go after and sanction Hungary for doing this. But the point is, Zelensky is trying to fire up a broader war in the region now. If you're going to take out Orban, if you're going to threaten his life, how do you think you're going to open up another front? I mean, if you want to start a war with Hungary and which will unite the former Eastern Bloc countries, we'll call them that, just so people understand, the Eastern European nations, the Slavic nations, that civil war, maybe that's what the Brits are trying to do behind the scene, with their allies that have pushed this Orange Revolution crap since 2014. And that would be, our well-known globalists and nefarious character. You've got numerous global bankers and the WEF involved in there, and I just think this just seems to be a mass distraction. And when you've got people that are mixing things up there to distract for what's going on in Iran, right? This is the point. They're trying to fire something up over there, and Zelensky's a puppet. We know that. He's a puppet of the globalists. He's doing what he's told to do. So now he's trying to fire things up there. And, by all accounts, it sounds like he's the one who's been holding up any kind of peace deal, right, at this point.
I think that's obvious. I think that's been obvious for a long time, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the fact that, we know George Soros is the one who kind of funded, he's the operative, I think, who's tied to the globalist banking order, who's been doing this kind of work, the orange color revolutions, that kind of crap that we see, and attempting to do that in Orban, right? He's trying to do it against him as well. I mean, these guys are everywhere. And I think, unfortunately, we, as you said, are we the baddies? And, I've had to now really rethink how I've been, the Bible says sometimes you have to unlearn all that you've learned. Well, we have learned that the English were always the good guys. And now I have to understand, are the English the good guys, or has this just been propaganda all along? That this was this this control mechanism.
Like for World War II, I go, okay, when you read about World War II and how that unfolded and everything, regardless of how you.
Well, I'm not even looking at World War II. I'm looking from a North American perspective, right? So we are completely manipulated by old world European interests, and
very much so. Yeah,
people need to stop thinking we're a separate country in Canada, and I think that's the problem. Is we've been taught over and over about this grand idea that to live under the crown, that it's a good to be a Canadian, and the fact that you live as you're the illusion of freedom, right, versus the independence and true independence that Americans fought for and broke free from the crown.
Yeah, I think the curtain's being pulled back on a lot of this, so we're able to see it really clearly. Like, I think there should be at the back of our mind somehow, somewhere, a sense of how come we're not as great as, with all the potential that's here, as we might have or could have or should have or would have been, with different things like the Avro Arrow as an example of great Canadian technology. We also were in the forefront of the electron microscope, the development electron microscope technology, that we were there. And, we're a small population, but we had
I think we survived off of the United States.
At the end of World War II, we had the world's third largest Navy. Now we're no match for Iran, even. Like, Iran is a much more powerful military entity than Canada in its wildest dreams. So we've really become something of a just a commodity to be absorbed, to basically put the pipes in and suck anything good out of the ground or whatever you can get out of the people for its gross domestic product or whatever, and make sure that that money is funneled and sent off in the hands of our elites. And then they're playing the new games with the UN drip and all the rest of it. Very interesting to look at Canada. We're going through a real identity crisis. Like you were talked on our last episode about the Indian minister, foreign minister from India. And he was saying, hey, Canada, take in 60 million East Indians. We want to send you 60 mil is the number he put on. Now, let's put perspective on this. Canada has a population of about 44 million right now. So if you do that immediately, Canada, it basically becomes a satellite of India.
We're colonized
at that very moment because all their people are here. So you just might as well make it a colony of India.
Which means all of your cultural and belief systems disappear overnight.
Well, something different. Yeah, it's already being seriously eroded. I mean, you and I know things that there's no way we should know them. I mean, and I'm not talking about, having your eyes, binders on your eyes and being so narrow-minded that you don't want to learn about the wider world and different cultures. But the fact that when I look at somebody, I go, oh, that's a niqab, that's a hijab, that's a burqa. The fact that I can fucking differentiate between those three forms of dress that belong to a culture and a religion that I have nothing to do with, absolutely sweet fuck all to do with. The fact that I know those things is problematic to me. It's problematic because I'm being forced to, oh, that's halal. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Well, it's, oh, you're in the wrong section. Oh, because I've got the halal meats here at my local Walmart now. And, you'll see a whole bin of the frozen section, and you got to look at the label and see what the hell's going on with it.
Exactly.
So these are new social realities that are impacting all of us. Add to that a population 44 million, which by and large the old stock Canadians used to be the majority in that. Now it's such a hodgepodge. But again, if you get 60 million from India, I'm almost wanting to see it happen just to see what the fuck will happen. But my prediction would be if that happens, Islam is going to get a punch in the teeth right away, because now the Hindus are going to be in charge and they're going to go, this isn't on. And Lord help the sectarian wars with the Khalistanis and the Hindu majority that are going to now, because there's already problems in India with the Sikh religion. That's another thing that we have to deal with over here. And it's just unbelievable. Yeah. So there are real challenges that are facing Canada on that level. And the whole idea is Trudeau prophesied, as he said, it wasn't even prophecy. He just said, here's the reality. We're a post-national state with no shared core principles or, a common history. Which
was a lie, which was he did that. His gang.
Well, we used to have it. They destroyed it, is what they
exactly.
did.
Was an admission.
They took it away from us. And so we used to have hockey. And now I'm watching a commercial, Blake, and no offense to our Black viewers, or if you're people of African descent, I think, there is wonderful. Jesus loves them. Just say he loves this, Indian type person. I'm Native American, quarter Native American. So, but I watched this commercial. It's a Black guy with his kid. And within the context of Canada, very few, there are some, but still very few overall percentage-wise. It's not representative of the sport to have a Black father out with his kid. Speaking of that, they're doing a remake of Youngblood. I believe Rob Lowe was in the original version. And there's an African Canadian or an African American actor in the lead role for that. It's just nonsensical to me. this is part of the culture war, and
Well,
then all the
yeah.
commercials and all that, right?
Well, it's Maoist, right? I'm calling them the Maple Maoists now because they're calling anybody who's Canadian and supports freedom, liberty as Maple MAGA. These guys are Maple Maoists, right? These guys are trying to do the cultural change.
Yeah.
They're Marxist progressives. They're basically communists. And this whole idea of social justice is not justice. It's essentially they want to break and define people into easily controlled, identifiable groups, and they can cobble together the allies they need to go after another group, which is the majority. And they continue to do that. Like recently, we just had one of our MLAs, Tara Armstrong, go in our local legislature in British Columbia, questioning the DEI practices of our universities, saying the postings are not
horrible,
allowing anybody that is primarily white, but even worse, white male and healthy. It's basically
next they'll be bringing fountains in where all colored or people of ethnic minorities only, the whites only fountain, right?
Well, that's Marxism, right? This is kind of exactly what it is. They can control and manipulate groups. Social justice is not justice. It is a horrible situation that needs to be destroyed. And it goes against meritocracy. It goes against the idea that you can work hard and be anything you want to be. It's an insult to anybody of those identifiable groups as well, because they're basically saying you're incapable of doing this on your own, that you need the government sanction to come in and say, well, because you have a disadvantage because you're black, or if you're trans, or if you're a person of color, or whatever it is, they want to create whatever, you're a woman, whatever it might be, that they want to say you're inferior. Thus, you need government support to get that position. And that's the problem with social justice, because social justice has gone beyond the concept of just hiring. It is now in the concept of law, judicial law. How you are being tried and convicted is going to be based on your identity. If you are part of the identifiable groups that they deem through social justice that you are somehow disadvantaged, well, you're not going to get the prison sentence you should. You're going to be let off the hook. You're going to be doing less than the white guy that did the same crime would get a harsher penalty, unless that white guy turns around and says, well, I'm actually, I'm going to change my gender just to save my ass in court. That's basically why I think that's the out now, right?
Yeah, you just got to
kill somebody. Just say I'm either insane or I'm a woman now, right?
Yeah, just get some baby blue eyeshadow. The baby blue always stands out so nicely, right? Yeah.
But that's the problem with social justice. It's not justice. It's Marxist. It's Maoist. Call them the Maple Maoists. I'm now referring to every single one of these Canadian progressives as Maple Maoists because they support China. They are Chinese plants. Even if they are Chinese lemmings, they are China.
I got one. Here's another story. And because we got Kimbe and Novus. I don't know if you kids have been watching for a while. I had some real sound issues. Blake helped me work through them. We got them all settled out. So we're very late today. We're going to be we're an hour behind today for today's episode. North Carolina, I can't believe this happened. Now, here I am, transgender Canadian, but Jesus loving and admitting to my sin and the error of my ways. And I am still a better candidate than what this Islamic woman in her own hijab showed up, and she's running as a GOP rep in North Carolina. I think it's for the U.S. Senate. And so it's just absolutely, you're telling me there wasn't one person in North Carolina that could have stepped forward and go, I'm willing to be a public servant, at least so I can stop this nut raging idiot of representing the Democrats. And the best GOP, because it's an open primary. I cannot stand open primaries because they're so easy to game, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's just get a whole bunch of LGBTQ plus or whatever they have flavor of the week is and get them to run for the opposition party while not internalizing anything that is representative or any value. I mean, how is America going to clean up its act if we don't get good people willing to stand up. And I mean, there's got to be somebody. I'm starting to sound like the Lord. Isn't there anybody that'll stand up against the prophets of Baal Peor for me? Is there not one that hasn't bent knee to Baal Peor?
Yeah.
You know, I'm still standing, Dr. Frankenstein.
Well, you'd think that with the political party system, that idea is that the political party decides who their candidate they're going to move forward, and these open, as you said, these open primaries become anybody can vote in them, right? It doesn't matter who.
I mean, can't we get a better candidate than some chick in a hijab that's a Democrat by orientation and every utterance that's coming out of their mouth?
Well,
My God.
it's hard to say who that person is because I don't know anything about that person and how they're talking and what talking points. They could be against.
Yeah.
They could be fully against Islamicism.
We got the tapes, Blake. All I can tell you, we got the tapes.
Okay, you got the tapes.
It's a mess. It's a
mess. Well, and I think that's the problem when you've got a certain group within the Republican establishment that would love to derail MAGA, right? And that's the problem. And
too many of them.
And they're because they're on the money train. I mean, let's face it; these guys voted down a measure that they wanted to bring in to expose all of the sexual misconduct and crimes and buried all the documents that
would remember the vote
the elected.
Do you remember how
it was like 300 and something to next to nothing?
Correct.
So they basically said, "Yeah,
I think it was like three. Correct me if I'm wrong. Vinyl people watching, Peter Keller, pundits, wherever's watching. Give us a number. I think it was something like 147 to 23 or something. It was it was nonsensical. That there would be even one vote should cause a big spotlight to go right on that one individual.
Yeah.
We did have the primaries. It's a mixed bag. We got Comron and Paxton shooting it out in Texas. It seems that we want Paxton. And the establishment, Thune, he wanted to have this other idiot in, Comron or whatever. It's just nuts, man.
Well, I think they want to have that permanent structure where it doesn't matter who they vote in. It's the same blob, right? And it's that deep state blob, the swamp in DC that Trump campaigned on to drain, and he's doing, I think, everything in his power that he can.
Yes.
I mean, outside of you're needing to bring in help, but even half your help, it's hard to vet them. He's gotten better this term.
Yeah,
he's gotten better this term. Last term, he had a hell of a time fighting.
Well, it's that GOP elephant carrying around on his back, that image that I made for the thumbnail of one of our earlier episodes. I mean, it's so suiting. It's so fitting to what, figuratively, a metaphor for what Trump is having to deal with. You're swimming upstream, and of course the Save America Act, which is that's got to be passed. Stop the filibuster, gain control of the rogue courts. This is one of the predictions for this year. What were we going to see at the end of 2026? I was hoping that the courts would be brought under heel by that time. All these radical judges, Blake, that are running interference left, right, and center. Did you see this new judge? Her position was nobody should be in jail, that everybody should be out. That's what her whole philosophy is.
Social
and she
justice.
Ended up becoming a judge, this moron. You just go, what in the world is going on?
Well, that's the Maoist system. This is the influence that outside of the country has. And this is the danger. If you don't restrict that foreign influence, this is what they do. They disrupt your internal systems purposely to cause mass chaos. And that's what it is. It is chaos. When you you release a bunch of prisoners who shouldn't ever be on the streets again. I think there was just recently, they let somebody else out. I just saw a post on it yesterday where a guy was let go who had hack somebody up with an axe and ate part of the person's brain and eyeball.
Yeah.
And they're saying, yeah, he's fine, let him back out. And Elon Musk, I think, reposted that and said,
good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to happen again.
We did the same thing in Canada. Remember the Chinese guy or Korean guy that chopped the head off of a guy
we talked about him on the bus.
Greyhound bus. You take a Greyhound bus and some guy chops your head off. Fun trip.
And everybody stood there watching it going, what the heck? I mean, it was kind of like an arena, the same kind of thing. People just sat in their chairs in horror. Yeah. But I mean, that was worse. I mean, Arena, that was horrible. She was just murdered with a stab in the neck.
Yeah.
And it was horrible to watch. And it was horrible to watch just people just sit there and just didn't pay any attention to it until it was too late, until later. But the point is, you imagine watching somebody being decapitated next to you.
Oh my God.
And you're just sitting there doing nothing. Like, I know this idea, you don't want to interfere because you might get hurt. And sadly, this is a Canadian problem, because in Canada, if you interfere and you do something and you hurt that person, the perpetrator, you can go to jail.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. Did you see the San Francisco mayor, the latest clip from the San Francisco mayor?
Woo, run away.
So ladies and gentlemen, the San Francisco, I don't even know this guy's name, but anyway, it's not Harvey Milk. But anyway, the San Francisco mayor is out with his bodyguard. I guess some street people are probably not happy with the way things are being run. I don't know. But these guys took issue and they start tussling with the security guard. The security guard goes down, bangs his head. I guess blood starts going. He's wrestling with this guy. The mayor's like, and just, he just walks away, leaving his poor bodyguard, who's in the losing position against this other guy's fight. It's just a mess. It's just mess. The optics are horrific.
Maybe somebody, if you're a meme maker, what you should do is take that video and put a scene from Monty Python when they were going, run away.
Yeah. Robin the chicken. Put the music to Robin the chicken with it. You meme makers know what.
So Robin the Brave.
So what other stories are we following? Okay, let's
hit Canada, because there's lots of stuff going on.
There's always something happening in the Great White North. Oh, before we go to Canada, Kristi Noem out as a head of deputy of the Homeland Security, DHS. She's gone. She's being elevated. She's getting a raise. There's no other way to look at it. You think it's a demotion when you're part of Trump's new hemispheric structuring that he's got on for control over the hemisphere. It was just absolutely amazing. And we got to throw in Cuba, which is definitely going to fall to America as well. It's like the game of Risk. Trump's rolling the dice and everything's going his way. And Cuba is definitely going to go the way of Puerto Rico for the United States. Yeah. No doubt about it. Greenland is pretty much, I think, like Blake was saying last episode, that's kind of done. That deal's in place. Trump's already got Greenland to the extent that he really needs it. He's everything he needs it for, he's got now. Yeah. Thoughts on the hemisphere? Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security, and the new guy's a bit of a wanker. I'm going to call him out because when the young lady's name escapes me was shot at the Capitol on January 6th. This guy, who's the new deputy of the Homeland Security, he's saying that, the cop is a hero and, he took her out and it was a good thing. The woman was unarmed, ex-service member. There's no way you can spin that to make any MAGA heart happy. We all hate it. That guy should be in jail. That guy shouldn't be. There should be no applause for him at all. It worries me a little bit. I'm pro-Trump. Trump's my guy. I love Donald Trump. But sometimes I go, Donald, do you know who these fuckers are that people are recommending to you? Apparently the guy, he's a tough guy and he's going to be, hard and tough on getting things done for Homeland Security. But I mean, pretty shitty optics when you come out against in favor of the asshole that shot an unarmed woman. If we were them, we'd George Floyd the whole country to death just over that one woman's death.
If it was the other way around, it was Democrats marching through the halls of that thing, and somebody shot through the window to kill one of them, as you said, the country would have been on fire, including of all the Western countries, because whatever happens there, apparently the left thinks it's okay to go burn every other country that's in the Western world at the same time, because that's what we saw through George Floyd. We got the bended knee, Trudeau bending a knee to something that was happening in the United States. Amazing. To get to your question, this is kind of the beginning of the show where you talk about a little bit of the divide, between the panicans, those that are thinking Trump's going wrong into Iran. This is maybe some of the area where there's some gray area to discuss. And I may agree on these points that I've heard, that I think my feeling, I'd felt much more comfortable of Trump shoring up the North and South America and Central America, Cuba, get that anchored in before going after Iran. But he must know something. The security guys must know something about Iran, that they needed to move
Marco
quickly
Rubio, I tend to believe that my orientation, my bias, I believe the administration. I don't think they lie. I think they're transparent. Rubio goes, we knew they were gearing up to attack. We knew they were getting in battle preparedness. We anticipated that they were going to attack us. We decided we would act before.
I'm wondering if it's, again, going back to this understanding that who your old allies were may not be your allies anymore. Probably.
Well, that's
where I'm thinking,
true. That's
because the whole move on Maduro basically disrupted the whole banking system and the money laundering system that was happening in the Caribbean, on those islands. What I found really interesting is that England. Remember Mark Carney, because he basically works for the British Empire. Let's call him for what he is.
Yeah.
He came out in support of Trump attacking Iran initially. Then he had to pull back his comments. And you'll notice it went in lockstep with what England was doing. And all of a sudden, Carney had to act like, well, he was almost given the AI written speech to say of the same talking points that Starmer was saying, after he had already came out in support of Trump and the United States and Israel hitting Iran. And all of a sudden he talks it back and he starts saying, well, we need international order, international law, and blah, 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 the same bureaucratic language that you hear these same people go on and on about. And then all of a sudden, Starmer comes out and says, yeah, we're going to now join the effort. We're looking at joining the effort to supply that. So Carney does the same thing. He now has our general looking at what we can support in the effort. But when we're going to what's going on in Iran, you can understand the panic of the old world order here. And the old world order, again, is the banking financial sector that controls what's controlling Great Britain. And it's still there in the EU. It's managed by their front public facing arm was the WF. These guys wanted to create a new world order under that umbrella. And again, that City of London control was highly over this. So the only thing I can think of, they must have known something that was going on with the Brits, what was going in Iran, that they had to move quickly, because apparently they had to cut Britain out. The Five Eyes were cut out of the information because you saw them all complain.
Right.
We didn't get any type of discussion from the United States about this. And isn't that interesting? Why? Because we can't trust you guys, because you guys are giving information to the Chinese, or you're giving it to the Iranians directly, and you're doing stuff to cause maximum disruption, because we are seeing, as I said, that geopolitical change in the world. Like, we have not seen in probably 500, 600 years, right?
Here's another
complete change. China.
I love the idea when you're talking about the disruption and all the rest of it.
Yes.
Somebody, a number of people probably, made the observation on the X platform They were saying, hey, has anybody else noticed that all the protests against the one thing are now replaced with the protests about the war? In other words, it's like, oh, this is the outrage of the week. The
Yeah.
signs all come out and immediately, oh, we're off of climate now. Now we're on to this thing.
Oh
Or,
yeah, Hamas. What happened to free
yeah, all
Palestine?
that's over. That's all past now. Now they're on to a new thing now.
Now they're Iran, right?
Yeah,
Let's
so it's all
protect the.
orchestrated. You can see it,
Yeah.
and there's been some good people on the ground revealing where the money is and how they've been financing it. But okay, let's turn our
We're playing,
attention.
as you said. I think the best thing is to look at it. There is a global game of risk going on like we have never seen before,
And Trump's winning. And Trump's
Trump
winning.
wants to free America from those tentacles. I do believe that.
Yeah.
Those tentacles are deep. They created the deep state in the United States. They created the deep state in Canada. They created the deep state in the UK, EU, China. They're all interrelated. So until we look at it from that perspective, we can't understand it any other way. To go, the Muslims are going to destroy us. Well, no, they're being rallied by somebody within the deep state. This is
why MAGA is so important, Novice Nick. You've got to get behind all the MAGA candidates, get rid of the rhinos, clean it up. What's his name's gone? Eye Patch Harry. Dan Crenshaw. He's gone.
Yeah.
Finally got rid of that idiot. It's been a long time coming for him. Jasmine Crockett, gone. Finally. Al Green, the Reverend, not the Reverend, not the singer, but Al Green, the guy who's constantly race baiting. Him and Crockett were just the two worst in the entire in Congress. They're gone, thank God. So
well, look how desperate they are, and the candidates are putting forward from the deep state are all ex-CIA, right? I mean, it's just
good point. Yeah, good point.
This is the scary thing about how deep state is so desperate. They're now having to put their own people out front now.
Yeah, quite a few of them.
And be actors, right? Oh, we're politicians now.
Yeah.
And I think this is where it's coming down to. I mean, keep to your principles, America, please. Stick to your 1776 revolutionary mentality. That's your principles. Hang your hat there.
Yeah.
That's what MAGA is. That's where it's going. That's why Trump's celebrating, 250 is a big number. And the reason why this is a big number, most empires or nations have lasted no longer than 200 years. And the ones that have lasted longer are a rarity. Like Rome was a rarity, right? 800 years of Roman rule in that side of it. But to last 250 years is a big milestone. And I think those in America that believe in their Constitution, believe in their Bill of Rights, believe in their classical liberal system. And when I'm not saying liberals, as you guys know in the contemporary term, as socialists and Marxists, etc., progressives, but in the classical liberal sense of rights, you are in a position to protect your country. Do it. Vote for the people that believe in that. Start with the very core of what your country is, please, because we're fighting in Canada just to survive because we have no core, as we've been told from our prime minister and our governing liberals here. So that's the difficulty, is that you got to vet people that don't have that sense of truity in their heart. They don't have those principles. They'll fake it. They'll give you the language you want to hear. And a lot of these so-called YouTube influencers are great at sounding like they're 100% behind the U.S. Constitution, but they're not. No. They are operating to destroy it and to control it and give it into the hands of the globalists where they're making all their money. Right. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's this manipulation.
Follow the money.
It is always the money. It's follow the money. It's follow the cartels that run the money laundering groups, the mass chaos operations that are being done, psyops that are being done in our media. Just stick to your principles.
Fortunately, the legacy media, there was a report came out on Canada, like the CBC is a dying institution. People are tuning out on the official state broadcaster and the other ones. They're finding the same thing with American television, the late night talk show hosts. their views are down overall. They're a pittance
Yeah.
of influence and views that they once were. That age is gone. That model's gone,
Yeah.
and it's these other
No longer the
influencers.
days of watching, Bruno Gerussi drive around in, beachcombers, and it was
Yeah,
calm,
Canadian
Canadiana
program.
kind of stuff. Now
Yeah.
it's like, you're all evil, you're all settlers, you're not welcome on this
Well,
land,
yeah,
you're
yeah. I
not
mean,
all the,
yeah,
you're
that rhetoric
white
is horrific.
oppressors,
And of course,
anti-patriotism.
the replacement in legacy media. It's a small thing, but it's not. When they're doing all the race swapping out of legacy characters, legacy
Yeah.
properties. Nick Fury, probably one of the biggest examples, had his own comic book, always a white guy with a patch, a Dan Crenshaw lookalike. And then, he ends up being played by Samuel L. Jackson, a whole different world.
Yeah.
So, but this is the nature of things. Or Idris Elba playing Heimdall, the Norse god overlooking the Rainbow Bridge,
Yeah.
Bifrost into Asgard. What are you doing here? Just looking at the Rainbow Bridge colors. So even though Idris speaks with an English accent.
Oh, you sounded a little bit more like Al Pacino at the bridge.
Yeah, Al Pacino at the
yeah,
bridge.
well,
Yeah, why are you gonna? Yeah, I got it. But anyway, so this is a cultural war that's ongoing. It's nuts. There's some good people out there fighting on that front.
But I think culture is the culture war is actually a psyop. And that's where I believe that is a conspiracy, because those that have the financial levers and power in their hands have wanted to maintain that divide so that they can divide and conquer. It's pretty simple when you look at the methodology of how you disrupt and destroy nations. And you've got decades and decades, maybe 100 years, hundreds of years of experience for Great Britain, maybe 100 or plus years of experience on the CIA and their former namesake, what they had before the OSS, et cetera, on how to do nation change, except their guns turned inward on their own people. And that's the problem. What we talked about earlier is that these nations we used to believe in were on our side have now changed, because the power and elite want to take it over, and now
our country. I don't see Canada as being a good guy at all. I think we're the villain. Anymore. We're the bad guys now.
Yeah,
our government is anyway. The people. I mean, we don't have Second Amendment rights, so we can't go storm the Bastille and mixed metaphor. But like I was watching my favorite show. I think I was talking about last time, maybe on our program. It might have been on my music channel. But one of the great successes for the French underground was capturing German equipment and rifles and and ammunition. And you can see them arming up. And there's one I rewatched a few episodes of World at War, and the one on the liberation of Paris that they do in the World at War. They show a German soldier running across the courtyard.
Yeah.
The sniper takes him out. The soldier drops dead, and a little French girl runs out, takes his gun off him and grabs it. And then the show stops with that beautiful music that they use for the World War. You get chills of the bravery and the commitment to freedom and liberty that was expressed by that generation. But they needed guns in order to get the job done, in order to fight back and aid the Allies. They couldn't do it by themselves, but it helped the cause. It helped the cause.
Well, did you ever see the movie Enemy at the Gates?
About
like 20 years ago. It was
it's
like
Stalingrad, right? Yeah,
exactly. And the sniper, but the initial beginning stage where they're just being slaughtered by the Nazis, right? And but just how the chaos of war and the lack of caring on the communist side, just basically your own people become cannon fodder. And remember, they didn't have enough rifles. So it was like you had to run next to the guy. You went as a team. So if the person with the rifle went down, it was your job to pick it up. because they didn't have enough rifles,
yeah,
and they sent them into the machine guns into German positions,
yeah.
and were just mowed down.
Our assholes
And then
did
they
the
tried to
same
retreat. They said, if you
Yeah.
retreat, we're going to shoot you down.
Our assholes did the same thing. Let's not forget Gallipoli. Over
Yeah.
you go. They knew that it was
Yeah.
going to be a meat grinder, Gallipoli, and
Yeah.
they still sent him in.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll notice who are the people that were on the front lines for that carnage were basically working class people or less. They were the colonial people from the outside of the empire.
Australia.
From Great Britain. There were
New Zealand.
Australians, there were Canadians. You know, we were thrown as
They were expendable.
we were the expendable, exactly. And I think we need to wake up as a country and be a country, not be a post-national state controlled by Great Britain, but we need to be our own country, our own republic, and so that we can care for our own people. Because right now, the people in charge don't care, as you said rightfully. We are the baddies. We're an evil country now. We have an evil government, and they're even passing laws today as we speak to just strip us of our free speech. Correct. Because they want to start arresting us like they're doing in Great Britain right now. Yeah. They're mirroring everything. The only difference is here is they got to be very, very careful, because I think the Alberta Independence Movement, every time they pass something, Alberta Independence Movement gets another spark of fuel to go even further.
Well, and we got a big friend on the border that says basically, because they know that this government is the bad guys. And that they aren't democratic, and that they are basically a dictatorship that are running things and gaming the system. Oh my God. And the interesting thing is our government, our bad guys represent everything that the Democrat Party is. The Democrat Party are lockstep with the globalist New World Order, or the old world order, or the middle road order, whatever you want to call it. Because Trump's creating the latest world order, you know.
So well, it's interesting. That's where I think Carney is kind of that wild card. You know, he's in with the globalists, but he knows it's dying. As he hung his head, and I keep saying, people watch that video when he said that the New World Order. His head hung low when he said it. His eyes went down. It wasn't like, victory, we have a new world order we're forming. He's saying the new world order, and he said it like that, saying the old world order is dying. Trump is winning, but it's not just Trump. It's the world is winning, because the world is rising up against it. It's not globalism has been run by the elites for a long time out of Europe, and I think people are done with that. Even the Europeans, I think, are done with it. And I think they're going to have a fight for their lives, because those globalists are trying to replace them quickly with mass immigration, third world immigration, just like they want to do to Canada, just like they want to do to Australia. But that is what's happening worldwide. And, you know, we've seen it in Argentina. We've seen it in Chile. We're seeing it in now Venezuela, right? They're fighting. And potentially Cuba could become a free free country. Argentina is off the charts. I mean, they're just fantastic. Brazil won't be far behind. They're kind of one of the holdouts, because they're kind of still run by the globalists. And now that all of the electioneering thievery that's gone around the world by these guys is now exposed.
A lot is being exposed. I think this year we're going to continue. I think 140,000 more Epstein docs are supposed to drop today. I think later today.
I think they said 46,000.
46,000, is it? All right.
Yeah. And this is some pretty meaty stuff they had to hold back on. Because
I think because they had the Clintons did their deposition. So then hold back. Let's see if they perjure themselves. Say, well, we've got information here that says the exact opposite.
It's actually politically, it's a smart move to kind of slowly dump this stuff out as it gets towards the midterms, because eventually it's like a nuke. It's going to take out.
Everything.
And it's primary season too.
Right?
It's primary season, right? So, hey, there's some people you want to get rid of. Well, here you go. There you go, public. Read through it.
Boy, we got rid of someone that needed to. Dan Crenshaw being one of them. That was great to see. Want to see Thomas Massey get rid of him. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
there's
people
something
I
about
want to see
this
go.
$7,000 payments going out to all these people. I
Yeah,
don't know
Massey
anything
was
about
getting
that.
payments from Iran.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who was paying it on behalf of them, but apparently a whole bunch of people were getting this
Yeah.
money, these checks.
It's all corrupt, man. So much
And,
corruption.
well, and that's the thing. I mean,
You need
again,
Mr. Smith. We need Jimmy Stewart. Mr. Smith goes
that's
to
right.
Washington. You need people of integrity like that.
Exactly.
And the more good people you go, I mean, surely North Carolina, you can do better than some woman in a hijab going, I'm representing the grand old party. Give me a break. Blake, I want to thank you so much for helping out, especially with the sound and everything before the show. It took us a while to get it. And apologies to our audience. We were very late, like an hour late to the show today. So we're going to be back at our regular time on Tuesday, Lord willing. And I just want to thank you all for all the support. And MAGA, man, make America great again. The Lord, I believe the Lord God, Jesus the Lord, is using America at this time to, I don't know, maybe one last chance for the ball before, the Lord himself decides to, okay, you've had your fun. Time to collect the marbles. I'm taking it. I'm closing shop. They want to see the Epstein files, but they voted to keep secret. The legislators, that we
mentioned that
earlier. It's a horrific miscarriage of justice. They're crooks. They're criminals. Vote them out. The only thing we can do, other than revolution, is vote them out. Use the power of your vote and get rid of these people and get good people in, patriot people in, and in doing that, you will make America great again.
And that helps us in Canada, because if you keep that strength in there, you won't allow the fascists to continue to take over.
You won't allow Canada. America will not allow a Chinese satellite to sit on its border. Yeah. All right, folks, we'll see you Tuesday. Give us a thumbs up and share the video. Bye for now. Poof.